Did you?
You can speak.
Pardon?
You should take the sound as
Oh
well.
yeah, we'll do. Yeah.
Right, carry on talking.
One ogler.
One bugler. Yeah, they're lovely though, aren't they?
Different. Are these sorts of like lofts?
Yeah, they're lofts.
The lofts.
And the large doors are of course the sleeping rooms.
And that the corner ones would be what? Three, 4 bedrooms?
Yeah, the corner ones are larger. They're quite specific because all living rooms, all bathrooms are on the ground floor. So they can be used by disabled. And then, yeah. So this room here could be a sleeping room. And there's a small bathroom connected to it. Quite a lot of people use it as workspace. That's also good to have on such a corner. Quite a lot of discussion here was about how community would work.
Is this site here?
How long has it taken to build all this place up? Like, you know,
We got the commission 1 year after we won Europe. And it's finished now 1 year.
Good though, isn't it? Considering the amount. I like the way it goes like the gardens there. It's lovely, aren't they?
Quite a lot of architectural works also about how you rhythm such a space, how prevent it from being one stretched space. I think that's all good.
Those little window rooms in England, you know, they call them dormer bungalows. You know, they have the room like in the roof type thing, and the views and all this dormer.
What I like very much here is the brick.
Oh, aren't they lovely bricks?
We are always very careful of what sort of materials we choose. It's almost farm-like.
So developers around Rotterdam are really looking for land all the time to keep redeveloping because of the shortage of quality accommodation. So we came back here and said 10 years time these small enclaves will be expanded. Quite expanded.
It will expand until the mass, and then it will be, I think, in total something like 400 to 500 new units, which is still quite small.
It's small, but a reasonable sized community. This is the idea of the coronation college. Similar. Maybe the French windows.
Would it be just a little bit wider?
They will be wide, so you could
Just
step outside. But this would be the...
Have you got an empty one?
You live in everywhere. You don't have that one.
And also
You blame me?
for the new entrances and the silent garden outside. We try to use
These recycled.
no,
No.
because we would use such a kind of brick. I mean, it's like this one, but something that would be rough and you feel tactile. Oh, very proud of you.
I'm sure.
So where are the bins? Where's the bin?
No, that would be
That
was the bane of your life, that wasn't it?
I'll forget to do it.
So will these be talking about different bins for different types of rubbish, so they would have a system here.
This is a green bin.
Yeah.
Colin, I like that's on the wall.
Oh yeah, the
baskets.
basket, yeah.
Look at these.
You see, when you mention French windows, immediately in England people think of verandas, don't they?
Yeah.
You can't imagine that you open the doors and you more or less just lean the expression. A veranda where you can hang things
Yeah.
and things. And I think people were having difficulty getting their head around that sort of concept of this French windows.
Yeah.
They're nice.
Another welcome.
They're quite simple, but
Yeah.
effective.
Well, what it does gives you a very friendly image of a house. All the bricks are from Holland.
Yeah.
I think more or less everything is. Here you can see
The wheelie bins.
the bins.
Yeah.
One for all the common
Yeah.
rubbish, and the green is for
Yeah.
the rest.
Mm.
And then
That's
people
members
have
of the
to separate glass
Yeah.
and paper.
I think it's a good idea, really.
Now you get used to it.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah. But it was just using Dougie's term. Just get rid of it, down the chute, finished. That was it. Just down the chute and finished.
Colin, look at this. Colin, that's marvellous.
I know, you can see how new it is, can't you?
Yeah,
I mean,
but there's
it really is.
materials like
This is what the people did themselves.
Oh, did
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
So we
And
decided
the
to shed with a small space here for the thing. And a very simple facade that again looks very house-like. And
But are these secure by design?
yeah,
They are.
in,
Oh.
in Dutch terms they
In
are.
Dutch terms, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I don't think you'd get away with this in
No.
Liverpool.
No,
You'd say, no,
wouldn't.
that's not
No.
secure by design.
No.
That's saying welcome.
Yeah.
No, it is a different society.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love wood though. I like all the wood. See the wheelie bins, you see? That's gorgeous.
People out of stuff. The group and to go here.
That's quality of
In the end, it has a social objective.
yeah.
And what things to do
These shutters, do we all have
That's what people did.
because of themselves?
And again, French balcony.
I think they're extravagant. These shutters.
Work is the same brick.
And are they houses?
These, yes.
Two gorgeous, aren't they?
All these apartments that they have one span, so they can't start the other side. All interior walls can be and it's cheap, but this is expensive.
Yeah,
This is also a mandatory house disabled. Yeah. But disabled means visual minor changes that are going on.
Even while building it, just to accommodate the people who are moving in. So what about here now in this type of block? The rubbish.
rubber.
garages and things like that.
You see that double door? That's where all the rubbish
Because
goes.
we will bring it down and then there's no shoes to be bring down properly. All of our garage space or
There are two garages over there for those people who wish to pay rent for it.
Yeah.
And of course this parking space is more than enough for
What it wasn't one of the ideas once from Coronation Court for it to have the car space underneath on the ground floor.
Yeah. Underneath, under the block.
Yeah, yeah, that was one of the plans
was
at one
one of-
point.
I think it was more or less just in passing. You know, it was just.
Because
sort
I
of-
remember something touching on it, but then
Yeah.
it didn't
Yes,
seem-
it did actually.
yeah.
But it was more or less just, as I said, you know, comment just in passing.
So what was an architectural theme here was because this is quite an agricultural community in the end. There's not a real example for high-rise here that people like. Things like low-rise are simple because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But this is considered to be a high building in the region here. So what he did is took over motifs from traditional Dutch houses, you know,
Yeah.
canal houses
Yeah.
with 3 windows and 4 in the heights, and those horizontal windows, which somehow bring such historic examples into memory.
Yeah.
And then at other places, especially with the balconies, we play this sort of game that's very functional because you get more light on the balcony.
Yeah, of course, rather than underneath.
So here there's a kind of distortion that's, well, it's obvious that it's reworking of this theme, but it's
I like the side where is what you know what you call it, alternate, you know, from you know
That's it. To improve, that's to improve the light.
yeah,
and
it's good, isn't it?
you know, a problem of such a tower block is that there are 4 apartments on the floor here. There are 3 up there. But 4 is difficult because then there's always some that don't face the south side.
Yeah.
For instance, this apartment is looking west. And I think by making the balcony like this, you increase the amount of sunlight you get. So it's, that's what we like to do to explain things in a very logical way.
Yeah.
And what sort of entry system did you have?
An intercom?
And fob key.
I think a regular key
It's regular.
here, but I think there isn't a radio key, maybe.
And also
the boxes. But that's obligatory in Holland. You can't have them upstairs because the postmen are not allowed to have a key.
and now in somewhere like Coronation Court, and all our tower blocks, I imagine, the people expect their mail to be delivered to the flat.
Yeah, that's
Olga,
Sorry?
all the letterboxes are outside.
Yeah.
We expect ours to be delivered to the flat.
Yeah.
we introduced this once in your scheme as
Yes,
well.
that's right.
Because we thought that it would be the
Yeah.
same
That's
in
it, yeah.
People
but
weren't
it
happy.
isn't. No.
People
No,
didn't like that.
No.
And
I
so
think
we
it's the-
changed it. But
It seems to be a
That's
logical
fine.
way to do it. People can
Yeah.
come and get it. But
Yeah.
And what we did here is try to create with a quite a rich feeling in terms of finishings. So we looked for natural stone. This is natural stone, but it's not, you know, very exquisite quality. So it in fact is B quality, but I don't see it.
No.
And
Yeah.
you simply see, you know, something that looks like marble.
As they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah. So it's very much designed with colors and
Yeah.
materials and proportions and If you take a look inside, you can see that all finishings inside are brick.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
The same inside.
And if you see those slots in the bricks, they're open.
Yeah.
And because there's insulation behind it, those slots absorb the sound.
So you see that?
Oh, I see.
So there's no
Echo.
no echo. Exactly.
Good, isn't it?
Into coronation court, we said yes, you want something for us as your clients, but we want you to consult with our tenants. So that was quite new for you.
Well, we do tenant consultation, of course, for renovation schemes.
Yeah.
This of course, is new build. That's a different story. So in such processes, you depend more on the information of the client.
Get
Sometimes I bring in
Chandel to get one of the locals.
stock
Hello.
people who sell houses,
Oh, estate agents.
estate agents, with their expertise.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's just a very, at least that's what we try, a kind of logical reasoning about.
Did you ever find there were times that the level of consultation that we were trying to encourage at coronation court was something of a hindrance and time consuming? Because obviously you're technically minded, you understand design, people understand what they would like,
Yeah.
and sometimes you don't always meet.
I think it would be good to evaluate the social process of coronation court at some time. Our basic criticism is not that it took too much time or whatever, but it took too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you were
can't-
changing the minds all the while, weren't they?
No, but you can't expect
No.
people to remain concentrated
No.
for 5 years.
No.
Well, that's. Oh, I see what you mean. From the
Yes.
outset of the
Yeah.
project
Yeah.
to 5 years later, we were still having discussions about.
So what will happen in Holland? For instance, we have a few schemes now where the client is developing ideas with us, but he's not sure.
Yeah.
So what he does is he's informing his tenants in a way like we're busy and we're studying, but at this particular time we don't think that we should show you because it only raises expectations.
Yeah.
And we come back to you as soon as we have a sort of initial idea that we think is reasonable.
Yeah.
And at that particular time we can tell you things about money, about timetables, and I think from that moment on they would go straight ahead as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So and then the objective would be to finish it in two-ish years.
Yeah.
2 to 3 years.
So the process is all done very quickly.
Quickly and compact. Go to people with
House delivered.
with good presentations. Ask what they want, what their reactions are. Play around, revise the scheme where necessary, and then do it as quickly as possible.
Well, there was times when I watched you there.
Chandel, can we have a photograph of this?
So first of all, we closed off the entrance, to make a new entrance with intercoms and close boxes, etc. The second is we did the colors and the painting and kind of exterior renovation. The third was that we improved the flats themselves, but only on demand. So only if people said, yes, I want this, we change the bathrooms and we change the so some of the apartments, so it was all very much focused on what people wanted themselves. And we constructed new penthouses on top.
That's right.
So you can see that everywhere.
Yeah.
And we did that.
Rented?
Yeah, privately rented. And we constructed those with the tenants in situ. So I think that would never be possible in Britain. So we had to to design a system that could be built quickly and without disturbing the people living below. And in this case, it was quite important to design something extremely heavy, because otherwise the cranes would have problems with keeping the elements stable. So they would start hitting the block because of the wind. So it was quite technical exercise to make that possible. But it is. Currently we're designing some renovations to make
The balconies around there, they're all individual, like
these
that
are-
you can walk right along.
these are the galleries.
They're the galleries.
So, and on
And
the
then
other
you walk
side,
right by.
and on the other side are the balconies.
Yeah, I see. So this is just automatically walk past them.
You can see if we can get in.
Yeah.
It's not good. Look at that.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah.
You think about it.
I know.
You can't really see them. They're just lots of white.
Is it? Oh, I think.
But they're postboxes.
Have you seen them on
Get the mill in from the outside and collect it.
That's what I mean, but
So you're safe.
they just would not have it in our blocks. You say, no, we want to, I don't know how that works. It's silly.
If you ask people, they don't want it. That's simply the government that says no.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
That's
inefficient
right.
for
Yeah.
the post delivery.
Well, of course. Yeah, it just doesn't make
Because of the height.
Oh, yeah, the way it goes out, doing it that raw. Come on, Olga, let's have a little look.
You're getting fed up with life. It's fantastic, isn't it? That's
Why, Hans, why the outward design?
I don't know. It's my former partner who left. Not by coincidence.
I wonder why.
Because
like ours.
No, a lot of the design here I would do differently.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do this, and I also wouldn't use such cold material.
Yeah, it is.
I would
isn't it?
always try to
Yeah,
introduce some
friendly.
natural.
It is a bit cold, isn't it?
It looks very industrial.
And this would have been similar to us, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, this is you know, this is in fact a new gallery.
Yeah.
That's
Would
put
have
on
built
top.
on-
It's put on top of the existing roof.
Yeah.
So all these elements were designed by us one by one, and they were as a kind of toy kit to be assembled on the roof. And that would be very similar to what.
But the walkways we were talking about for Coronation Court, they were more concrete based.
Yeah, they would be more closed because of.
But surely this would be a cheaper material to use, something like this, as opposed to the concrete.
Not necessarily.
No.
No, it was more because we. I think it's better to turn this into a space.
Yeah.
Instead of something you almost have the feeling to pull out. And some people have difficulties with the height. And also it's
Just a nice house.
windier.
Yeah.
And there's no garages on this site, we just have parking bays. Because this was the sort of design for the Coronation Court, wasn't it? They was down there. With the sort of trees and the parking bays. What's this down here, Rick? These buildings here?
It's all socio-cultural buildings.
Like the community centre
and
that type of thing.
stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a supermarket and a shopping centre over there. And this is the marketplace for the area. I think once or twice a week there's quite a good market over there.
Yeah, that'd be good, that, wouldn't it, Olga?
Brilliant.
You know, a space like that, and you just got a market turning up
Absolutely.
a couple of times a week.
How many flats are around here?
6
6.
But I can't stress enough that this all has to do with a difference in acceptance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such housing stock in the Netherlands is not a problem.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not by definition.
Oh.
Hello. I mean, the Bijlmer, where the jumbo fell, was a problem because of the population.
Yeah.
Because of the immigrants and all sorts of stuff. But here, I think most people are quite satisfied. And,
Could I be more satisfied with this?
Yeah.
What happened to us?
you can see.
Yeah.
They were decorated
Yeah, lovely as well.
And the advantages that they mention is that it's it's has a high degree of comfort. It's,
Yeah.
everything is level access. You have a
That's
lift.
right, yeah, well, we just
It's
experienced
safe.
it, haven't we?
Yeah.
The lifts come straight up, you're right out, and you're on your
I know it's unfortunate now, but if only they, could have seen this, they would have realised, what, with all the comments and everything that,
We need to ring the LHT on to have a look.
yeah, it's just,
Yeah, but what's also very evident from this example is that you have to keep investing in it.
That's right. Yeah, you can't stop.
In comparison to low rise, high rise is more difficult.
Yeah.
You have to keep an eye on it. You have to have a high level of management and control and a caretaker, people who's familiar with the people.
And keep the maintenance up and
Yeah.
You have to have a
And also on a strategic level, at the right time you have to invest in penthouses and get people with more money in
Yeah.
who, these penthouses are somewhat more expensive. So inevitably you get people with a slightly higher level of income,
they
but
can
also
invest more.
education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they deliver the framework for the social events.
That's right. I know you're saying.
but there again, if my memory serves me correctly, when they were talking about these decks, right, some of them said, fancy walking right past my window. Well, one in particular who lives right by the lift on the 5th floor, and no one would pass coming.
There's just no interest in change.
They just
Even if change means more convenience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This also in visual aspects breaks down the block more.
Yeah.
But everything develops. This was maybe 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Was designed. But nowadays
Ideas have moved on, haven't they?
I would suggest to go further and to invest even more in the future.
As you said, did you mention it about Coronation Court fire escape one time? You did, didn't you?
Fire escape.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that.
Was an enormous problem that Rick tackled.
Well,
So this is also the right under the runway for the airport.
yeah.
This is probably the plane to London goes I think five times a day or something.
We're going to skip up.
To Heathrow.
No, I mean, is that landing now?
Yeah, it's landing in Rotterdam.
Oh, Rotterdam Airport.
Oh, sorry, Hans, I was saying about Rick when the fire escapes.
Yeah, well, he looked into that, and basically Coronation Court is extremely safe because all of these staircases.
That's right, yeah.
You have 6 of them, and they all go right to the ground floor. But an explicit problem was the closing off of the decks, because then you would connect those different staircases. And for instance, if there would be fire in one, the smoke could get from through the galleries to the other escape routes, which is dangerous.
So that looks like the drawings we had, isn't it? Those trees and all that.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. Dougie's was paranoid as well about
I thought
Steve's
maybe
car.
the scene is now made.
He went to the garage with a lock on in the door, so no one's getting to my car.
Mind you, he had somebody who's the nag at him anyway, so.
Hey, this is really cool.
Fun. What's
I
this?
think I better rewind that. One and the one
Class mentality. And the gardens are immediately to the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And the streets are, you know, old-fashioned.
The queue something.
And this needs renovation. So we did this block. Eventually we will do the complete district like this. This is a pilot block that's finished only a few weeks ago. And what you can see is that we took over quite a lot of the original things, like panels and
Yeah, I like
windows.
the chimney pots. And the cute colour in the chimney pots, yeah.
And but we introduced you know, better colors, better details. For instance, we changed those vertical windows into real French balconies.
Oh yeah,
Again with a similar railing.
yeah.
And well, this is what we like to do in terms of materials, rather than the project I showed you before. It shows color, it shows all sorts of details and shadows. Those panels are not, and they have shades,
Yeah.
so they're not exactly the same color throughout. Those are all things that we think.
Yeah, they're nice, aren't they?
And this has worked all rather well. The acceptance of the scheme is enormous. It's,
I like the entrance of the doors.
yeah.
Rather like them.
Originally they were very thrifty.
Yeah.
Only
Yeah.
some white panels.
Makes a difference, doesn't it?
Provides a small canopy and wood.
And the windows are through.
Those are the bathrooms.
Bathroom.
And I always like the French window.
Yeah.
We put them in wherever we can.
Yeah, I think they're lovely. They enhance it, don't they? I think they enhance the building.
Yeah. And you get quite a natural understanding of the house.
Yeah.
You can really look in.
There's only one fault I've got. I can't stand those monkey trees.
That's what it is.
Puzzle ones, I can't stand them. The monkey puzzle tree. They're hard, aren't they? Yeah, I think I want some of these things.
Kids will be fine with them.
Well, it'd be a good idea that anyway. Safety.
Kids fine with that.
Yeah, there's mine there. Mine empty.
You have to imagine what happened to both sides of the street.
That's nice, isn't it? Cozy.
It will be cozy and more friendly.
Lovely.
And what we think is important that the colors are a bit earth-like.
Yes, yes,
They,
definitely.
They are not
They're lovely.
cool.
Yeah, they're just nice. Warm without, warm. Lovely.
Was something knocked down to put this in?
No, this is simply the recladding of that block.
Oh, okay.
So how long do you think it'll be before that will need to be refurbished again?
It's supposed to have a lifetime of 35 years again, without any refurbishment. So only maintenance, painting, stuff like that. This project consists of two parts. I'll show you the other one right away. But both parts have been refurbished previously and didn't work. So all those aluminum new windows didn't work. Simply because they didn't put enough energy in it, didn't analyze it enough what the real technical problem was. So they just said, let's do new windows, let's fill the cavities with insulation, you know, good ideas, but not put into a kind of framework technologically. So now it needed another renovation.
Probably when they were first done, they looked okay.
And then after a few years, the new problems show. So this is a more radical choice to reclad them completely and do everything properly as if it was a new build. It has effectively it has a new insulated raincoat.
Hans, if the Queen Mother can take cuttings, so can we. It's just a lovely little street, isn't it?
And the street is very nice. Oh, we can take a walk to the other scheme. It's
I agree. I agree.
Everybody looks at it. It's very straightforward.
No, it's excellent. All you need now is a construction with a door.
And a big fence so that nobody sees it again. My God. You're from that island.
It's just, I agree with this.
Renovated previously. We found the original drawings and they were quite rich. There's a lot of decorations. For instance, the end facades were made of brick in a very beautiful pattern. Well, lots of things. And what they did was just cover everything with insulation and render and add PVC windows. That didn't work because they're not strong enough. You can see them bending.
You can see them bevel,
So it was a useless investment.
What we did over here.
Fill the wheelie bins. Is this one you've done as well?
Yeah. So what we did over here was reintroduce all the decorations that originally were there as well. So the end facades were different from the longer facades originally. There were decorations between the windows and between the front doors, and well, we added a small canopy as well. So all has become closer to what it was before. And
You can see the difference.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, them windows are terrible.
What is ours?
I don't know, these are weird.
These are a dream, aren't
I mean, these are actually just stuck on the outside.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's. Oh
Don't
yeah.
you have it super glued by
I've
the look
seen
of
it now, as you say. Yeah.
They're terrible.
But these are the.
Oh, they're really good.
And there's one thing that didn't work here. We also proposed French windows over here.
Yeah.
So where the windows would have been nicer. But people didn't want that.
Oh, interesting.
So
Why did they say that? Was that a question of adding cost if they wanted to buy it eventually?
no, it was more that there were radiators over there and they would need replacement and they didn't want that. Maybe because they didn't see the value. So what we're now speaking of is offer it as a choice.
Yeah.
Which could be a good idea, especially in a longer block. You wouldn't notice the differences.
The entrances are rather nice.
They're very nice, aren't they?
I like them. They'll be lovely. I like the piece at the side, the side.
This is very dangerous in terms of secure by design.
Oh, there's no chance, you know, you wouldn't have that.
You wouldn't get
Yeah,
away with it.
Liverpool,
Yeah,
not
you got big
Liverpool.
bars along there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And someone standing with a gun. I would have.
I think this secure by design makes a lot of things impossible.
Well, that's what we were saying. Sometimes it's just too strict. Sometimes.
For instance, in this neighborhood, it works extremely well. But absolutely vital is, of course, if you have big windows with the living areas looking onto the street directly.
Yeah. But I suppose it's more about people getting in when you're out through those big windows. I suppose the bigger the window, the more difficult it is to get in.
It's strange, yeah.
Because the noise it makes if you smash it, for instance. Are they double glazed?
Yeah.
All of them?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
The new ones.
I see your point now when it's on the outskirts. On the outside, strange, isn't it? Yeah.
I think the runway of the airfield was 2 kilometers long because it was capable for, jumbos. It's radar.
And there's still development, isn't it?
Yeah, this will all be built within 5 years. I think 2 years ago we built the first scheme there. 2 years ago there was nothing. In this area we built 3 of such streets. One is over here, one is over there, one is over there.
That'd be lovely.
And this is social housing.
Those bricks again, aren't they?
Yeah.
No, that was, it was,
So what we did here was work with an image of a Dutch house for workers, as it appears in our cities. It's a very low scale,
yeah,
so the gutter is quite low.
yeah.
And we also showed individual houses, stressing the bay windows. So it's not an anonymous block, but you can really.
Do they have high lofts?
Yeah.
Where you live in or store? Are they big enough to live in and secure
Yeah, they're
enough?
Like those across those there.
Those are sun boilers.
Some boy, yeah.
That's not
Also-
earth steam.
But I was just looking at
No.
the height of the roof.
Yeah.
Well, it's high enough, more than high enough to stand right up. It's finished as if it's a storage.
Okay.
But
Convert.
But these were quite large houses. They were 109 square meters. And one of the things we did was introduce quite an efficient building system in it. So there's a lot of repetition here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all units are practically identical.
Yeah.
Although maybe it's not unpleasant because we did also quite a lot about individuality. But because of that we could simply provide a high level of architecture and a good standard in terms of
Lovely, isn't it?
Well, people broke up the monotony by doing their own gardens and frontages.
you simply have to wait and then
That's right. But when it first opened, it must have looked quite, safe. But now,
What helps a lot, for instance, is those birch trees that they have planted.
yeah.
Well, you see that people more or less squat.
Have we got time to walk down and look at that? Yeah, please. I love those gardens and have a look.
Where's the fox hunter when you want to?
Now listen, so you got the me.
Knock that off.
You never mind. Yeah, you don't bark at me. 'Cause I'll take you home.
Obviously, it's going to expand.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Keeping an eye out.
No, it's all commission.
Oh, is it? How much do you want to play now? Foxes?
At the moment, I would say
Just looking at lovely houses. Lovely houses.
in die kantoor krijgen. Ja. Misschien een brutale vraag, maar zou het misschien even binnen mogen?
Ik woon hier niet.
Ja? Je woont er wel?
Ik woon niet verderop.
I asked whether you could have a look inside.
I love that.
Yeah?
She should be too, shouldn't they, really?
She wanted to show her garden.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, was this one? That's what we were saying about how individual they all are. So
And the
different.
place where your flagpole as well. They're nice, aren't they, on your
So are these owned by each individual family?
No, it's
These are
owned
rented?
by a housing trust.
Right.
The rent.
The lady explained that they were built for a rent of approximately £190 a month.
What's that? That's not bad.
No.
It's less than £50 a week.
Yeah, it's nothing for a whole
Mm.
It's £40 a week.
house.
But she said that she lived here for somewhat shorter than all the others.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the housing trust has found out that they could ask more.
Mm.
So instead of 40, she pays 50.
That's right, yeah. Mm. Whereas other people are paying less.
Yeah. We'll walk around like that, and I'll show you some of the other streets because they're some other fascinating things.
Yeah, the shop's older.
Yeah.
Oh yes, another thing. Olga, house dirt.
Yes, I know.
It's very low.
What's that?
House dirt,
Downstairs.
mixed. So this is general. That's vegetables and fruits.
Yeah.
Oh, you just...
The container is below ground.
And how does it come out again?
There are no wheelies here.
So maybe just bring a machine.
You drop your bags in here, and they empty the
Yeah,
containers with the crane.
yeah.
And this is very modern. This area introduced this.
Now,
gradually
Dougie could see
everywhere.
this, he'd understand.
Yeah, yeah,
No, take me a shoe.
yeah.
It's not at the top of the street, it's outside me.
Yeah. So the chefs are
And another thing is what I did in this area was mix the various households quite thoroughly. So these houses are for sale and relatively expensive.
Yeah.
They would cost around about £200,000.
Yeah?
Really?
So you imagine that this is, really middle class or
Yeah.
and this is
Social.
social.
These,
Okay.
these windows are nice, aren't they?
But I didn't want to separate. Well, in all honesty, there are problems as well. I think the wrong choice is the social housing is on either side of the street. The street image is for Europe.
Yeah.
But the backyards face each other.
Oh,
And that's
cool.
where the problem starts. It's never on the street. It's music that's too loud. Child play. People have different attitudes towards education, of course. So, one family smacks the child. The other.
So these garages belong to these houses. Now these are much taller, aren't they?
Yeah. This is also a part of our scheme. This is on a somewhat wider road,
Yeah.
and the urban designer, the planning authority wanted to have a higher type here. So we use the same floor plans, and everything is more or less identical to the others, but simply made a taller facade and even more space in the attic. So there we provide really a room
Yeah.
facing the street.
Gorgeous.
And these what? 3-bedroom again?
So these are 4-bedroom.
4-bedroom.
4-bedroom plus an enormous attic.
Hans, what are these notices in the window?
Is it a festival or something?
Is it
It's politics.
festival? Oh, is it? Oh.
Don't vote Labour.
No, it's this area was an airfield.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, it was part of, I think, 3 or 4 different.
Hello.
3 or 4 different towns.
Yeah.
And now the big city, The Hague, wants to annexate it. And I don't want that.
No.
The Hague is poor and offers very bad services. So first they leave The Hague because it's poor and delivers bad services.
back in. So what municipal sort of authority do you come under?
This is Rijswijk, technically. It's a small town.
And where's the municipal centre?
It's 5 kilometers.
Hans, those pots there just handy to go on our waste pipe on the veranda. Those little pots.
Yeah.
Make it, look better.
You're torn now, aren't you?
I think it's
You
very
like
nice.
the tower block we seen yesterday?
Yeah.
How it could be
I know.
renovated. Then you see these
I
houses,
know.
then you want them. Then you see the flats, you
I
want
know.
them.
It's,
You just want everything,
You're
Olga.
supposed to show you.
I know.
It's just so lovely.
They are nice, aren't they?
You just can't.
This also shows that we
yeah.
always use strong materials. And in this case we worked with very rough brick and also very thick joints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if the sun is on it, you really see separate.
What was?
I should be happy with my flat
What
if
did you
it was done.
what did you put in the front?
Sorry?
Was it just soil?
Yeah.
You just left soil and then people have just decided.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, we provided a path,
yeah.
but it's gone everywhere.
Welcome friends. It's nice, isn't it? No, I'd be quite happy if our flats had been done. More than happy. But now you see all this.
The thing is, for the people in Coronation Court, they wouldn't need such big houses, so
No.
it's more space saving to have.
It's just the gardens
Yeah.
and the outlet, the
Yeah, it's nice to have a
rooms
garden.
and that. Oh, good with these, aren't they? It's quite a big estate, isn't it? Quite big. It's quite big.
Yeah. This part is 1,100 houses,
Yeah.
but the complete area will be, I
Yeah.
think, 12,000 or
Yeah.
something. So here's a small kindergarten.
Yeah.
Not small actually, it's quite 6 or 7 or 8 rooms. So here you can see it is marked. GFT is green, groceries, vegetables, gardens.
Oh, Hans, you know these houses and things like that. How do we go about finding these places? If you follow me, like, no, but in another district, like, how do they know?
Yeah. How are people selected to live here?
I think that what they did was setting up a regional paper for home finders, and then projects are announced or vacancies are announced, and then you can subscribe, and then it comes down on amount of years that you live somewhere in your income, and there's a very difficult weighting process then, and then basically it's lotted.
A lottery.
Yeah, it's a sort of lottery.
Yeah.
They just draw the name.
They draw names, but on the basis of accumulated points.
Yeah.
So there's some weighting.
Yeah.
I want to show you that particular street because that's something else.
Is that the creme de la creme?
Oh, it's
Save
been
the
nice to
best for the
sunbathe.
last.
Yes.
Love the
Save
weather.
Yeah, looks good.
Well, in the roof tiles are lovely, aren't they? Really nice. As you say, they're all alike, but they got their own individuality. You know, the
Yeah.
gardens.
European championship.
Yeah.
And the colours have become pale,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
I like the cups on there.
when they did it, it was completely orange. All railings in the gardens were orange. All light posts were covered. Here were two immense orange lions.
Yeah.
That's a kind of gateway.
That's a bit droopy, that one.
Imagine the
isn't it?
noise when the first goal went in. I just scored the first goal.
I like the boots.
Orange
It
boots.
was complete, you know. They removed
That'd be
some
nice.
of them over there, but it was really an orange ceiling.
And you know, we were watching the England matches. One day we had a ball between England was playing in Germany. And half the beer was German singing. There's not that level of patriotism, honestly.
I don't know if it's patriotism. It's yeah. I don't know. That you're not great patriots.
Yeah. With some national pride with football here.
What we also thought was very important was to provide some special spaces in the middle of the street. Otherwise, it would be too long and too massive.
Yeah.
This is kind
To
of
break it up a little bit.
yeah. It's kind of breaking up. So here in the middle, we provided all the storage blocks for the bicycles, and they're grouped together on one long corridor. And it has had several motivations. It was cheap, but it was also considered to be something social, that people share things.
Is that a part of the rent? The
Yeah,
overall
yeah.
rent? So there's no extra charge for
No,
any bicycle,
no.
just part of rent?
Yeah. So people use this together and are responsible for it together.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, to some degree they meet and have some minor.
Yeah. And are there, to your knowledge, like tenants associations, tenants groups?
No, not organized. Only for informal.
Yeah.
But as you can see, the community is quite tight. They live
Yeah.
So
like in
close.
time.
They're like neighbourly.
Yeah, quite
Yeah.
quite a lot in the front gardens, and they interact. And here is the fifth room, so fourth sleeping room on top of the storage box. So
This for these two flats.
yeah, this room
Yeah.
belongs to that house.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful room. You have a roof terrace.
So you're just taking advantage of all the space.
Yeah. And
How many
this
properties did you do?
122.
122.
So there wasn't a problem with using a whole space for a house just for the storage?
No,
The people that commissioned the work didn't?
No, because the storage had to be somewhere, either in the back gardens, but then it would take up quite a lot of the space of the gardens. And we also proposed to move the blocks a bit to the side of the available plot. So otherwise the last house would have, a kind of marginal extra garden on the side facade, and we said, well, let's use that space right in the middle of the street.
Brilliant, isn't it?
It's interesting that most of the new build in Liverpool, certainly, they tend to have a lot of space at the front and the back, large gardens, large front gardens, and the rooms tend to be small.
Yeah.
Whereas here, the front gardens are quite small, the back gardens are fairly average,
But
and
that's-
yet the space inside the buildings is generous.
Yeah. There's lots to be learned from that, I think, isn't
Well,
there?
yeah, because and also even despite the space being so small, a lot of people have tiled it over, which was something like I would do because I wouldn't want the grass. But we give people large gardens.
Yeah.
Have you seen on set of the
Especially
States?
especially on the
Have you seen
corner.
the size of the gardens?
I know.
There's like
Oh, it's
loads of
ridiculous.
garden space, and it's all grass,
Yeah.
and people just can't manage
Yeah.
it.
One of the ex-reps, Bill, the Scots chap, he's there, and he's got a bungalow, and he's on his own, and he's got a heart problem. And you want to see it. It's ludicrous.
It's ridiculous.
Something else could have been built on it, they use the...
And the back gardens, sometimes give like 2 acres. This is
Especially if you're on the corner one.
And bungalows seem to get more than
Yeah,
any.
yeah.
If you've got a bungalow, they'll have 2 acres of
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. There's lots to be learned. There's certainly else coming around here.
I like these small compact spaces.
I
at
do.
the
I think
front.
it's brilliant. Let me go back this way now.
Yeah.
Yes, no.
Unless you want to see more.
No.
No, we don't see it. No.
The use of glass, does it seem, windows seem to be really big.
Yeah.
What I like about some of these houses and things like that, the front of them, they're not fussy. Like, you know what I mean? They're nice and, I can explain, plain, but nice,
Generous.
Yeah, some of them, you see fussy bits, and some of these are really nice.
So how many different architects
Now look
on
at
this
these
site?
here.
On this particular
the
part,
Yeah, no, the whole site.
the whole side I wouldn't know.
Because you can see all the different types of architecture as you come through, different types of buildings, properties.
This area there were 9, and here are also several.
Oh, so this is the next phase.
Yeah, that's the next phase. It's still partly under construction,
Yeah.
as you can see. Let's see if we can get in somewhere.
Seen them, Olga?
What's that?
Over there.
Which way?
These
Yes.
new ones that they're just currently building.
Gosh.
There's no end to it, is there?
Yeah.
And when you consider that woman's only been in there for what?
Since May, she
15
said,
months?
yeah.
And it seems so settled.
Yeah. Plenty of
In
buildings,
terms
isn't
of social amenities, if they don't start developing them now, there'll be problems for this estate. Because the number of young children with nothing to do.
That's one of the concerns now, and there's a lot of debates going on whether should be continued like this. And that has to do with things like that.
Because, you know, you're seeing these children now, kind of they're off school, they're playing around this little stream. But when
These kids are not the problem, the generation of that.
that's right, yes. And there must be an awful lot of them.
Yeah, at a certain moment there will be an immense boom of
That's right.
12 to 18 years old kids. And well, it is a terribly difficult age group, of course. You never can really satisfy them.
Oh no,
So,
no.
so what can be done is offer them a kind of home where there are activities and
That's right.
rock bands and well, you know.
Whatever.
And
But the city building houses and houses and
but what they also do is, and that works quite effectively, is to institutionalize this kind of wandering about. So they give them somewhere a place where they can do no harm.
yeah,
And it's called a hangout,
yeah.
and you know it's amazing. It's bare. It's asphalt with concrete building on it, and they can hang out, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
Seen these where these are built like that.
But you're right. It's
Big, big wind.
it's difficult.
Gosh, it must have been a terrific airfield this.
This direction. And basically everything was very much okay here. There was not a real urgent reason for intervention. So no leakages, water okay, warmth okay.
Was there always lifts?
No, so the landlord made a decision to invest in the future. And, he said, well, I need a lift. I need to close the entrances off. I need a canopy on the upper floor because people can't walk right to their homes, and I can't have that. We wanted to replace the window frames and facades on the upper floor because they were rotten because of the rain. And he said, I want to interfere to a certain extent on the architecture. Because you know, gallery access, okay, cheap housing stock, we need that, blah 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 blah. But we also need more breaking up of the whole.
Let's do it.
So we propose to show all these additions very deliberately, because all in all it was rather minimal what we could do. So everything that's added is shown as explicitly as possible.
Yeah.
So the lift shaft is made in glass, by the way, because the tenants asked for it. Originally it was more closed, but they wanted transparent view. And we proposed to do all the renovation of the new parts of the facade in a very strong material, so it's wood and not very bright red. And in addition to that, we proposed to break down the length of the block with those
the glass.
with those windscreens.
And those doors in front of the glass, so the houses like
Yeah.
the front door. Good idea, honestly.
So they're also functional, that you can enter your house without standing in the wind. And it also marks your front door. And well,
Right, isn't it?
all has changed, although it's quite simple. It's also amazing what paint can do if you choose the colors right. It all looks, you know, very dignified. And well, we referred quite deliberately to the other schemes here that have been renovated already. There's shouting blues and those shouting yellows. Things that color the page to try to find something that would match the original architecture, but would also be generous, maybe a bit slick. Sunglasses. Yeah. Whereas it's exactly the same. Well, shall we start?
Yeah,
between those and
yeah,
those.
yeah, it's definitely before.
We took all the original railings off. They were good enough to let them stay, but we took them off and coated them. And those railings are just aluminum. And these need a color. And something we proposed was to make the ground floor more special. So we proposed to have gardens here. And even during the construction process, there was quite a lot of debates amongst the tenants about gardens.
You wanted to bring them out to the pavement?
No, until the
barrier.
To the barrier. But the debate was about whether to provide gardens or leave them as pavement, or and should we do it everywhere the same, or so in the end only the barrier was put up and it was left to the tenants. So you can see that there people start occupying that space. My personal expectation is that it will go on.
Yeah.
You know, inevitably.
But when did you put this?
It's still on the construction. So these barriers have been put up 2 or 3.
So it's pretty recent, so yeah, people have got around to probably best things.
Yeah. But principally they are allowed to take the pavement and make the garden of it. So we can go in. So again, it's not completely finished. And this will be glass, so it cannot be in front of the...
Yeah.
And here the postman comes in.
And he's left it open. He's left the door open.
It's not finished.
I guess he either.
So it has to be cleaned and
Ja, we zijn.
again, quite a lot of hobbies of the office come back, like strong materials and you know, tactility, shadows. You really see something, and well, things that stay good. Steel frames and coated glass, it's laminated, so it can't be thrown. Very modern.
Is the current owner of those properties?
Yeah.
So that owner might say, never mind, it's upgraded.
Yeah. Well, they're quite anxious. There's this rivalry between those housing trusts, and maybe that was the reason to go a bit further here. I don't know.
So there's no community facilities on these sites, is there?
No.
It's just
This absolutely works by itself.
yeah.
And even, I think, in this particular complex, compared to the area we've been in yesterday, and also this morning, people deliberately live here because they appreciate living on their own, quietly, anonymously, in a green setting. They sleep tight during the night and they work during the day. It's another sort of mentality.
So most people here would be working.
Yeah.
What about in terms of elderly?
Quite a lot.
Retired?
Some of them. But also even families. We saw some kids. And quite a lot of what's referred to as starters. So people starting their living career.
Yeah.
So young couples.
But the rents here are more expensive.
Yeah. So it still looks a bit dirty, but eventually it will be,
Landscape and
let's say lower middle class, and it will look decent.
was part of your contract to design the landscaping for here?
No.
No, just the...
No, we try to organize the landscape design simultaneously with the intervention on the buildings. But the authorities are in charge. This is municipal ground.
Yeah, okay.
And their cash flow will be adjusted to cash flow of the housing trust, which is a pity. I think it's kind of lost chance. I really think that if you develop such a thing, like Coronation Court, you should develop parking spaces right away.
Yeah, well, that's what struck me. Because obviously with College Court, that was part of your brief when you were looking at how to accommodate the child. But here, it's different ownership of land, especially that piece. I take it this council land as well.
It's council.
It's also
everything from
there.
Yeah. So you can see that the barrier is exactly the edge between private and public space. We couldn't, and we had to ask permission for these few square meters.
Would that be just planning permission? Would that be?
Yes, planning permission, but I think the housing trust had to buy the land, and there were some cables and pipes.
And what's the reason for putting that in? Just to make it look better?
Yeah, there will be glass in it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So it will be canopy.
Oh, yeah, okay.
What about, do you have an on-site caretaker?
We don't have that here. It all works by itself.
I think people will put in their own space.
Yes, there's probably a contract with a cleaning company.
Okay.
And they probably wouldn't do the exit balconies.
Yeah.
Just
Just
the
the
new
new
child.
Because that's one of the things we always ask.
Yeah, well, there's.
We want a caretaker.
No, I think that's not so relevant here. There is often discussion about service money for the elevator, for maintenance, etc. So this always comes back with such schemes. No, it simply is another sort of tenant here. Quite different.
Because then the colours are over and say, every side we want a caretaker.
Yeah.
As soon as we get them, say they're rubbish.
I know, it looks ridiculous.
They're no good.
Yeah.
I think the caretaker here wouldn't have so much to do.
No, they wouldn't.
He wouldn't,
It's
no.
told on. It's not much to do in our
No.
sites, really.
No, not
Well,
really.
some of the sites they do. Really.
No.
I mean, Dave was up with like all those weeks and lived in the
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Everything has been adjusted to wheelchair use. Everything is adjusted to wheelchair use.
Yeah.
So if you sit, you can press all the.
Thanks for the walk. We did.
So here there are some playing facilities.
I'm gonna have a go. I've got to get on this.
Go on.
You can see that the space.